Hello and welcome to the Work Inspired podcast. I'm your host, George Lucas Pfeiffer, and on today's episode, we have another special guest. Alice Phillips Topping is the Chief Marketing Officer for Ryan Specialty. Alice is going to tell us about her leadership style, her story, and we're going to hear about Ryan Specialty as a company, their culture, and what they got planned for the future. Alice and her team are doing some exciting things, so let's not waste another second. Work Inspired starts right now. Alice, thank you so much for being here. So excited to talk with you today. Thank you for being on the Work Inspired podcast.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. Thank you.
So let's start with the question we ask every guest. Tell your professional story. How'd you get to where you're at today? And then we can kind of leeway into what you're doing today.
All right. Well, I got here to what I am doing today circuitously, I would say. I started off always in business, but actually straight out of college, I was a computer programmer, if you can believe it. And so that was interesting. And then I went back to business school and got my master's at Kellogg, which was great. And then went into the banking industry. So I was with Citicorp Real Estate and doing construction loans for the big real estate companies, the office buildings, and the big retail malls at that time that was going on. And then the real estate market was plummeting. So I jumped over to the insurance industry because at the time when I was graduating from Kellogg, I had interviewed for a reinsurance brokerage operation to go into that field and decided to go to real estate finance. But when I jumped over, it was the greatest move I've made because a little secret that people don't realize is the insurance industry is fascinating. It is massive. It's big. It got an opportunity for every single skill set. And there's a lot of really great, fun people that are in it. So I've been very lucky, very fortunate. And when I jumped over to the insurance industry, I started out as a reinsurance broker. But to do my training, I spent a year at Lloyd's of London working in the floor and the different syndicates and the underwriters that are there. And I came back and I was a reinsurance broker for about 10, 11 years. And then I had these two beautiful little children at home. And then I was traveling all the time. And I was like, okay, look, I don't want to outsource my motherhood, right? I'd like to be there for my kids. So I was given the opportunity to get into marketing communications because I had that wonderful marketing degree from Kellogg. And that's how I cut my teeth in the job on marketing and communication. Truth be told, I actually did go home for a little bit while my kids were in middle school and high school so that somebody could be there and, really take care. Those are very formative years, and it's important to have somebody there in the house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And, they're not just showing up home alone. And then I had the opportunity to go back to work for Ryan Specialty. And so the firm was founded in 2010, and our CEO, Pat Ryan, asked me if I would think about in 2015, so 5 years into the development of the firm, if I would consider taking over the marketing for the company. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? What? I'm not even working. And you, but the beauty of somebody like me for him was that I had all this insurance knowledge, and yet I had marketing chops. So I had marketing skill set that I could use and employ. And so I've been with Ryan Specialty since 2015 until now, and it's nearly 8 years, and it's been so much fun. I can't even tell you how this has been the best part of my career by far. It's really a great company. It's a great job, and I really enjoy what I'm doing.
I always think of your industry when I think about, can marketing be fun? Because insurance is not that fun, right? As a product. But the marketing that comes out of the insurance industry is some of the most fun marketing there is.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like when we think about furniture or in other indries, when I've been having, if insurance could be made as fun as they make insurance, and the marketing behind it, anybody can.
Yeah.
Anybody should. Humans like to have fun. They like to laugh. They like to be entertained, right?
Right. Well, that's more the progressive. That's the personal lines. I mean, the type of insurance that we're in is the specialty insurance. So it's the super high hazard commercial insurance. I like to say we're the dark web of the insurance industry because nobody really knows that we exist, right? We're wholesale insurance brokers and we're third-party underwriters. We do the hairiest things. So if you think about a construction project, right? You're building a office tower. Think about the perils that might be there, the wildfires or the hurricanes or cyber liability. I mean, that's one of the segments that we do. And transactional risk. So all those M&A deals now have insurance that you can buy tax insurance, you can buy special litigation insurance. And we touch on pretty much everything, but it's always the super high hazard type of insurance that the normal standard insurance carriers won't touch because they don't have the expertise or their appetite's not there. And so it falls into our channel and it's fun.
Well, certainly interesting, especially on the cyber side.
Yeah.
Seems.
Oh, it's crazy what's going. Well, with the AI we were talking about before we started the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, is that has increased the liability of the cyber attacks. You can see the hacks that are coming through has amplified in the past year because of AI and what they're doing.
It's funny, we've had other CMOs on the show, and some have come from the really the creative side, and then moved more into the business side. Yours was more a business experience, and now kind of. I mean, obviously you went to school for it, but probably layering in some more creative as you've grown with the company.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about Ryan's specialty.
So Ryan's specialty, as I mentioned, is in the specialty insurance arena, founded and run currently by Pat Ryan, who founded Aon Corporation. And so the beauty, so I just want to make it clear that if for those that know about the insurance industry, so Aon is the second largest retail insurance broker in the world. What we do is we complement their business. We do not compete with them. Okay. So Aon is one of our largest clients. Pat would never create a company that was going to go after or pull the rug under another firm that he has founded. So we work very closely with the retail brokers. They're our main client base, and we're there to help them do their business better and to win accounts.
Who's your customer? Is it
so the ultimate customer is the commercial the commercial entity, whatever it might be. Although we have a little bit of personal lines, and so that would represent the homeowners along the coast with the hurricanes coming in, or earthquake zones, or the super high hazard areas, as well as the beautiful luxury homes that are too expensive to cover elsewhere.
Tell me a little bit about how Ryan Specialty is kind of set up and what the culture at the organization is like.
Okay, all right. Well, we're about 4,400 people total.
It's a big team.
Yeah. And we are international, pushing to global. We just opened an office in Singapore, but otherwise the vast majority of us are in the United States. But all across the United States. It's very entrepreneurial, but it's also very positive. It's very empowering. It's one where it's a culture of teamwork, for sure, because we all want to win. We all have the same goal, and we all want to win. So it's kind of like, well, how can I help you? So it's really interesting because I'm on a number of these distribution lists, if you will, so the people that are focusing solely on property, if you will. And it might be 400 brokers that do just property. But they'll come in with each other and say, hey, I've got this risk. Can somebody help me? I'm having a hard time placing or finding coverage for them. And then they'll come in together, even though they could compete with each other. There's no constraints on a salesperson. They could go to wherever they want. It's the relationship and the knowledge and the innovation that's going to win the account. So once you get that broker of record letter, they're all there supporting each other. And it's just quite a remarkable thing because these guys they're competitive, really competitive, and they're very sales oriented, but it's all about teamwork, which is great.
And you having been a broker yourself, I'm sure helps when you're serving them from a marketing perspective.
Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of it, is that I really understand what they're doing, and I understand their pain points. I understand when they're saying it's urgent, what that means, and can work with it. So I've just been complimented. I have to share this because it's about the team. It's not about me, but it's about the team. That our CEO just said, we've done a great job to gain so much respect throughout the firm. Because it's hard for marketing sometimes because people think we're, fonts and colors, and we're so much more than that. And we've really gained the respect throughout the whole organization. It's nice. It was like the biggest compliment that I could have gotten, that awesome. We've gained the respect because we do understand it. And so if I have somebody coming in on my team, I take the time, I spend the time to educate them, to really tell them, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, this is why we need to be so responsive and why we have to be best in class. So it's fun.
In our business, we work a lot with real estate brokers.
Yeah.
And a lot of the big firms are set up very entrepreneurially, where they're actually independent, they're contractors of the firms, but they're set up very much like their own business units, where they go out and hunt business. And in some cases, they're even competing against their own team members, but they often will leverage the core brand and resources of the organization. Is that similar in your world, or?
Well,
Yeah.
similar for the wholesale brokerage in that subsidiary is called RT Specialty.
Okay.
They are on commission, but they are very much a part of the firm.
Okay.
They're not contract at all.
Okay.
They're very much an employee. And yes, it is definitely pulling on the resources of whatever Ryan Specialty can offer them. And their teammates. I mean, again, I can't even tell you. It's remarkable because I've never seen an environment like this before. It is really supportive. It is really also empowering, right? Like supportive, and yet we're going to help you be the best that you can do. We're going to give you enough rope so that, should you make a mistake, that's okay, because that mistake's going to teach you so much. If you pay attention, you're going to be that much better the next time. And that's where we want to get people, because we're always trying to get them to improve and to get better at their craft.
In the sales world in insurance, is it important to be out in person? Or that's the big topic now is
Right.
Can we do our jobs from behind a computer?
Yeah.
How important is that?
Well, the pandemic was a good test of that, wasn't it? Well, but everybody in the world was
Everyone
home.
had,
So it was a little different, but no, you're far more effective in person. I mean, you're doing this in person. I could have been on a Zoom call,
That's true,
but we're in person. And it's always nice to feel, not feel, but you know what I mean? You could feel the essence of the person, and you can gain that much more trust. But then from the broker's standpoint, who's trying to solve a problem, because remember, these are super high risk things that we're trying to solve for, to really understand, to be able to really listen to what that person is saying and what they need to have done, it's so much better to do it in person. So, no, it's great.
Is that how your team is working too? I mean, what does your marketing team look like?
I've aligned the team around our practice groups in our companies.
Okay.
So, which is how our brokers are. So we're all, and our underwriters, we're all experts at whatever. So we have RT Specialty that has, a property practice group, a casualty practice, a professional and executive, or whatever it might be. And then we have our managing general underwriters, which are those third-party underwriting teams. But they're all little companies. As right now, as of today, as we speak, there are 22 different ones, and they're all differently branded. So True, which is technical risk underwriters, they only do construction builders risk. Okay, so but we might have GEM, which they do property in natural catastrophe. That's what they focus in on, right? And then, however, we might have WKFC, which is habitational. So these are all differently branded. So the way our team is set up is we have people that work mostly with the RT Specialty wholesale brokers, but I have a person who is only working with the pro exec team, because it's big enough, it's volume enough that they need a person dedicated to them. And then same with the property and casualty, whatever. And then on the managing general underwriting side, they have I have a couple of people that are dedicated to those guys, depending. So
are those independent businesses that all have their own marketing teams, or do you actually you're managing the marketing efforts of all of those different?
Correct.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It is. It is, which is why we have a large team. So we have 3 graphic designers on staff, and we have a social media, an internal communications, external communications person, and then we have a person who is kind of the analyst, and otherwise we're all marketers, right? So I think we have 5 directors of marketing that kind of spearhead these different client bases that I mentioned.
Are you centralized here in Chicago then with that team, or are they spread out around the country too?
Well, we started off centralized here in Chicago, and then so now we're spread out.
Okay.
What I do is have a weekly meeting with these with my team, and everybody kind of very quickly talks about the top 2 things that they're working on. And the reason why I do that is twofold. One, make sure that I know what's going on. I guess 3 things that I know what's going on. I mean, I do know what's going on, but it's helpful to hear it. But 2, it educates everybody on the team about what the firm is doing, Ryan Specialty is doing. So they have their niche, but it's really good for them to understand and know what the whole firm is up to.
Right.
And then the third piece is more the team piece, is so that everybody can get to know, continue to get to know each other and foster that team bond and spirit, because we're all over.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you handle with the dispersed team development? Do you like at training and development? I think that's one thing that we found suffered during the pandemic when we were more isolated was mentorship and kind of in-person growth kind of stalled out a little bit. And one of the benefits of getting back together or having a weekly meeting is some of that knowledge sharing.
Yeah.
Is that intentional on your team, or does it kind of happen organically?
It's a little more organic in the sense that I don't send them, they don't ask for to different training programs.
Sure.
I mean, there are a few that I could send people to
Yeah.
for sure internally, and we do, but it's more on the job mentorship. So the 5 directors that I mentioned, these guys are really good at what they do, and they've been doing it for 20 years each, right? And so the younger people or the not as experienced people are mentoring them as well as I am. So everybody reports into me. There's no hierarchy. It's very flat.
Yeah.
And I do that intentionally because I have the most insurance knowledge of anybody on the team because everybody did not come from the insurance industry. So it's a way of me making sure that people are speaking intelligently and understanding what we're doing.
Sure.
But also the development side. I want to make sure that people know they can always call me and talk to me, and I will take the time to mentor them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The employees that are in locations where you have offices, are they currently working in a hybrid fashion? Is it remote? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that structure like?
Yeah, structure is a tough word.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no structure. It's
good flexibility. That's what people are after.
It's important.
Right? Yeah.
It's important. I would say for the people in Chicago, we have our meetings on Tuesday mornings. So we come in on Tuesday mornings. And I really would love to see people come in at least 2 days a week and understand if there are problems that if they can't. And there's other people who want to come in 4 days a week or even 5 days a week. I have our youngest team member. She seems to be coming in 5 days a week. And like, yeah, well done. You should do. That's good. I mean, how are you going to learn? Because it's not just us and our team. It's everybody else that's walking around. And you get to meet people. And you know how it is. People walk up to your desk and they're like, hey, can you help me with this? Well, if you're the person sitting there, you're going to be exposed to more things, and you're just going to learn that much faster, which is a really good thing.
You talked about pretty flat org structure from the marketing team's perspective.
Yeah.
What's your leadership style like?
Mine?
Yep.
I like to have fun. I'm very positive. I try to be really understanding and empathetic. I think one of the important things as leaders, you really got to understand that everybody has something going on, positive or negative. And so if, for instance, their performance is faltering, there's probably a reason. Like, what's the reason? What I didn't say about Ryan Specialty is we are an industry leader in this segment. We're not quite the largest yet. We're number 2. We're getting there. We're going to get there for sure. But we represent excellence because the people, the talent at our firm is so outstanding. Well, anything that serves that talent, any part of Ryan Specialty needs to be outstanding.
Well, I mean, it's impressive that you're at number 2 and approaching number 1, and it's 14 years only. You know, that's a pretty young company.
Yeah.
How has scaling that quickly been? You know?
This is tough.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work. We actually did our largest acquisition during the pandemic, and we closed on that acquisition in September of 2020. So it was done completely virtually.
Wow.
It was our largest one, so we added so much to the growth. And it was a lot of hard work, but these companies that we're acquiring are wonderful. I mean, we don't buy workarounds. We buy really top flight companies that fit with our culture. The number one thing that Pat Ryan says is it has to fit with our culture. I mean, it could be the best, like, profitable firm, but if these people don't have the same sort of empowering, teamwork, supportive culture, we won't even look at them, honestly. They'll be off the table. And we found that during due diligence, and we've just said, thank you, but no thank you. So, but to your question very specifically, there's been growing pains because it's hard, because you're working, way too many hours. But we're working on that now. We have this program called Accelerate 2025, and it's for operational efficiency is really what we're working at. So what that's going to do is make it easier to take these acquisitions, these new firms into our platform and really scale it up and much more smoothly.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the cultural fit piece, too, I think is really important. Is that a personality thing? Is that you go in and meet the leaders and you meet the people at the firm and you say, these people are our people? Or is it more, we've written out what our culture is. We know we're a competitive culture that does values this, and this. So when you say it's got to be a right cultural fit, it's going in and meeting the people and understanding how they think and operate and then making the decision.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not often. I mean, it might be that you can't actually get into the firm, but the senior leaders and you can see what people are doing in the insurance industry is pretty small. I mean, it's massive, but our segment, everybody knows everybody.
They do, yeah.
And so you do a lot of checks, like, hey, what do you think of this person? What do you think of that person? And
You talked about, the desire to have teams come in and be in person sometimes. You talked about scaling quickly. What have you found as some of the most effective ways to increase engagement on your teams? Whether you're trying to innovate or you're trying to motivate or you're trying to work those long hours and feel good about it. How do you keep people engaged?
Yeah. It's a tougher question, isn't it? Particularly when you're remote, because a couple of my team members only work out of their home. I think, fostering the friendships within the team. I'm talking very specifically about the marketing team. So those weekly meetings, I think, are important because everybody sees each other.
Yeah.
We do an annual retreat. I mean, which means that everybody comes to Chicago, and that's really fun. And I make it 3 days. And after every time I've done this, everybody's like, "Oh, that was so good! And did you know this about this guy? And did you know that about that guy? And oh, that's just I love these people." And so the friendships, develop. And then we have conferences throughout the year that, any number of our team members are at. I would say friendships, relationships, the mentoring, as I mentioned, is really important. Also, touching base with people, I think, is important. But it's not all about me. It is really not. It is really about the issues we're trying to solve or whatever the innovation we're trying to create. It might be different team members any given time. So it just kind of all depends. So they're all working with each other.
What does innovation look like in your industry? I mean, we've had leaders from Leo Burnett and some big ad agencies on the show, and we've had tech companies. And, obviously you think about innovation, you're thinking like cutting edge technology. That's the next generation. That's going to change our lives. We were talking about artificial intelligence before. Is that what you guys think about when you're thinking about innovation, or is there a different way of looking at it in the insurance industry?
Okay. So it's different because it's not necessarily technology based, although there is innovation happening there.
Yep.
And AI does play a role to a certain extent. But it's more about, again, I'm going to go back to the high risk nature of our clients. I'm, the coverages, the insurance that they need. And if you've paid attention or read the news about anything about the insurance industry, property rates have gone way up, right? Because there was a massive amount of hurricanes and earthquakes and natural catastrophes are on the increase, right? Mother Nature is not liking global warming, right? So, but there's a lot of insurance that happens. And so what happens is when the losses come up, the insurance company has to raise their rates to cover to make it profitable, so that they can pay claims in the future.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have the money, they can't pay the claims. Innovation, so that has happened on the property side. So rates, it is we call it a hard market when rates go up. It is the longest historic hard market that the insurance industry has ever seen. We're like in our third or fourth year, and the rates keep going up. Well, at some point, you're pricing people out, right? You can't afford the insurance anymore, but yet you have to have it. So where does the innovation come in? With alternative risk. So thinking traditional insurance is you have a policy limit, you have a deductible, these are your exclusions, whatever. But alternative risk could be, okay, so let's set up a captive and you could self-fund it and do it on 1 year or 3 year policy, or is there a different way? And is the capital the same? Is it going to be an insurance company, or are we going to bring in alternative capital? Are we going to use, insurance like securities, right? Are we going to use capital markets? Or are we going to bring in a different form of capital so that we can provide more options to give you the coverage that you need so that you can continue to run your business? Because if you have a massive loss and you don't have insurance behind it, you're out of business. So we want to help businesses continue doing what they do. So that's where the innovation comes in, as product solution.
What are the biggest changes your industry or your team are going through right now? Is it this hard market?
Yeah.
Extended,
Extended hard market. And it switches. So property, there weren't a lot of hurricanes last year.
Okay.
So the prices are flattening out slightly. I would say they're still increasing, but not at the rate they were. They were bumping up 20, 25, percent a lot.
Yeah.
So they're not quite as extreme. Casualty now is getting really difficult. So our president of the company, a man by the name of Tim Turner, was just talking in our earnings call last month about, long haul trucking, right? You think about it, and the verdicts that are coming in. So something that might have been $250,000 as a loss in court, or for an insurance company, they are now going to court, and that $250,000 loss is becoming a $4 million loss. So these verdicts are changing everything on the casualty side. So it's not just long haul trucking, but it's it's commercial auto, right? It's really hot. We would call it hot part of the insurance industry because the claims are so high and they're just rapidly increasing with these verdicts. And so that's something we have to solve for. It's really difficult. But if you think about like any firm that might have a delivery service, right? Well, they have commercial auto insurance they have to buy. Well, the cost for that insurance is ratcheting up at crazy rates. So we have to figure out, okay, well, how can we keep them covered, yet make it viable for them so they continue to be in business.
Interesting. I mean, we talked a little bit about cyber. There's like an example in Chicago right now, I think with Lurie's, and there was a big cyber attack. Is that something that we're all going to start to need? I mean, like from your perspective, we're not a huge business, like we're a medium-sized company.
Yeah.
We've had some issues, like I know small businesses get, like, is that something that all businesses need to start thinking about and planning for?
Yeah, it doesn't matter your size.
If the leader's sitting here thinking, I don't understand any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what I need. I don't know what risks I need to prepare for.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have to worry because I'm too small,
Yeah. What I would recommend is like, if you were really interested, we would set you up with a retail broker who is a cyber specialist. Sure. And then they can walk you through what sort of perils you need to think about. But yes, every single business owner, it doesn't matter your size, you're going to get hit. So what is it you need to look out for?
Sure.
And then the retailer can handle your business, or if it's something super special, then they would come to us and say, okay, we would need a little bit of help. They're not a little bit of help, or we can't place this coverage in our market. We need to use you guys, and it's, we'd love to tap your brain and your resources. Because we have different insurance companies that we can access that they cannot.
Okay.
They being a retail insurance broker.
Gotcha.
Okay.
As a CMO, what are you really excited about right now?
In general, with my firm, so I'm to be specifically, our growth, working with our people, we're at a wonderful point in our maturity of our company, if you will, having been founded in 2010, so we're pushing on 15 years or 14 years. We just keep evolving. And the vision at the top of our firm is just exciting because he can see. So Pat Ryan can see what's going on. And that's our mission statement that he put together in 2010. Still today, we're here to help our brokers and our underwriting carriers with solve their problems, right? To help them bring solutions forward that can help them do business better. And that's what we do, but it's interesting to see what's going on. And as we develop, it's really fascinating to be a part of it. I have to say, it's fascinating. It's really fun.
If you had any advice for someone interested in getting into your industry, maybe, what would you tell them?
Oh, God, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how much fun it is. It's funny that insurance people are like, oh my God, boring. But it really is because, and if you think about insurance, many, many people are salespeople. So if you think about a salesperson's personality, they're kind of fun, right? They're fun to be around. And the underwriters, same thing. I mean, these guys are working at the highest level with the most difficult risks. They're fascinating people. They really are interesting people. So I would say for the insurance industry as a whole, once you're in it, you really like it. And so they're like, come on board. You know what I mean? Be a part of it. Because no matter your skill set, it can be used and it will be valued in the insurance industry. So I would say give it a shot.
That's
for
awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Has there been a resource that you found that's been valuable to you in your career that you could share with others?
The resource, I would say, is curiosity. I would keep trying to learn, push your creativity, try to think outside of the box, be curious about, well, why does this person do this, or why is this business doing this, or this department, right? So I'm corporate. So why corporately are they thinking that way? Because the more you know about whatever business you're in, the better you're going to be, the more interesting it's going to be for you, the more fun it's going to be for you, but the more valuable you're going to become to the firm. So I would say. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer.
No,
but
I think it makes a lot of sense. That's why you went from computer programmer to banker to broker in the insurance industry to mother at home to CMO at one of the larger, quickest growing companies in your industry. So
no, it's fun. It's
That's
been
awesome.
a fun ride, I say.
yeah, and I'm excited to see where you go from here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for all your insight and inspiration
welcome.
today. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you and
Good,
to learn
yeah.
from you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you too. Thank you so much, George.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to rate our show. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Work Inspired podcast so that you don't miss any of the incredible guests we have planned for upcoming episodes. We'll continue to find the best and brightest minds in business so that you can learn, grow, and succeed, and so that we can all work inspired. Work Inspired is brought to you by BOS, a leader in commercial working environments and a Hayworth best-in-class dealership. Experience our 360 approach and discover the team, tools, and techniques required to navigate the complexity of your next workspace at BOS.com. If you have ideas, feedback, or would like to be featured on our show, please email podcast@BOS.com. Thank you for listening. This has been a Workspace digital production. If you're interested in launching a podcast at your organization, please email info@workspace.digital for a free consultation.